願い早く捕まえて
So I've been playing Policenauts. The story of Policenauts is about Mel Gibson, aka Jonathan Ingram, getting lost in a space pod for 25 years while remaining in cryostasis. Because of this, he hasn't seemed to age physically at all and is now officially a man out of his time. I mean, dude straight up lost his job as a proud policenaut, his wife remarried while he was away, and is essentially forced to live his life as a crummy noir-esque detective in the shitty dilapidated town of Old LA. One day, though, his ex-wife Lorraine, now in her 50s, drops in his office all like, "Yo, bitch! My husband went missing! Please, private my eye!" Also, my daughter, who looks just like me in my prime, only much hotter. Oh, woe is me, my news anchor daughter. She is so hot. Reluctantly, he accepts the case, only for her car to explode as a freakazoid masked BDSM assailant runs off, leaving Lorraine to die. Oh, Jonathan, please, save my hot daughter. She is so hot, and it wouldn't technically be incest, unless you're into that. Oh no, my time has come. My daughter, so hot. And from here, it is basically revealed that Policenauts is actually a game about a sexually frustrated 50-something-year-old man in a 30-something-year-old's body being surrounded by 20-something-year-old women. Oh, and also maybe like this epic space adventure in which Jonathan reunites with his old friend Ed so they can team up and track down Lorraine's murderer who's fled to the space colony of Beyond. All of which is lathered in some really well-detailed lore, scientifically rooted Kojima banter, and some awkward-ass sexual harassment and shootouts. 'Cause, yeah, it's a visual novel. Though not one of the text-forwarding only variety, as it tends to play more like a point-and-click adventure game sans the puzzles. So, the entire thing is trigger-based. Quite often, progressing simply means that one is to examine or interact with a certain object, or have asked someone the right question. You do this by slowly dragging around the mouse cursor with the D-pad or analog stick and clicking on shit to access a variety of drop-down menus containing all of the available actions and topics at hand. Often also leading to a bunch of submenus just as well. So whether if it's a conversation or an epic chase sequence or a leisurely dick around a room, it is all done by using the exact same interface. Which is kind of neat, honestly. It's intuitive at the very least. One button to rule them all, which in this case is circle because Japan. X is reserved for backing out of submenus and letting you move in between different rooms or open up the save menu when clicked while doing nothing. It's a neatly designed UI in any case. It forgoes going for the age-old mistake of reverting the cursor's position or backing out to the first menu tab after having asked or done something, which, considering the sheer fucking size of some of these banter lists and the insane density of room clickables, is pretty much fucking essential to not making this the most frustrating game ever. Generally speaking, Policenauts seems to put comfort first. It's quite easy to just kick back and work your way down a list of dialogue options to inquire why this stewardess wasn't wearing a bra, and you also don't have to sift through larger areas in a logical manner, as your move menu, much like its save feature, is almost always accessible and lets you pick any room within a building from within any room within said building, thus avoiding any go into hallway, enter room, enter side room of room, talk to guy level shit, as you just pick the side room right away. Like I said, Policenauts puts comfort first. This be the type of game where somebody be all like, "Hurry! The bomb is going to explode!" Only to then end up having a 30-minute conversation about designer bags and parenting. And no, I ain't hyperboling either. Seriously, look at all of these fucking options, man. All of them hiding at least 1 minute's worth of banter. Most of them will be optional for sure, but you don't know which are and which aren't, and even then they can still contain plot-relevant information either way, so it's pretty safe to say that most of you will find yourself going down these lists in chronological order, preferably also clicking on an option more than once before moving on down, as there's often more shit hidden behind every single entry.
他に質問は
It's very much reminiscent of the better codec calls as seen in games like Metal Gear Solid 3. Shit's funny, cheeky, questionably well written, and above all, pretty fucking relaxing. Besides the fact that its 90s saxophone synthesizer guitar shred heavy OST is entirely my fucking fetish, the game's audio design and voice acting are also pretty great.
何か気配がしないか、エド。
Not having a fuck ton of animation to go around, I assume, they really did have to prioritize this shit, so each movement or action is punctuated by these thickly compressed sounds. Even something as simple as someone closing a door and walking away has a strong cinematic schlock presence that rivals even the dumbest 90s action movies. Additionally, finding items or successfully working your way through a conversation will also trigger audio cues or prompt dramatic changes in the dynamic background music. Shit's pretty fucking awesome, and properly props up the feeling that one's actually doing something. Uncovering a mystery or simply peeling away at a random conversational partner on a spaceplane, all the while the rather soothing static caused by the air filtration systems immerses your ass proper. I hate books, and I don't like reading much either. I guess I just can't quite keep my head straight, as if my brain's just too damn smart and awesome for these simple text-based media to keep my attention. But when your book has audio and visuals that are this fucking good, then I'll happily plow through as many walls of text as you can offer. Policenauts works well is what I'm saying. The audio design and music both do a great combined job in pulling the player in, regardless of their ability to read otherwise. And the fact that everything looks as weird and interesting as it does also entices one to want to learn more. Look at that ass. I would eat anything off that ass. Remember that one time when Hideo Kojima tweeted that he was wearing a rainbow shirt, but that he was not the gay? Or how he has a t-shirt with an arrow pointing down at his dick? Or really just about anything regarding quiet? Well, that was modern Kojima. And this is 90s Kojima. A Kojima who has Jonathan complain about the biovestites who have undergone gene therapy sex changes and that there are unfortunately many of them. A Kojima who has Meryl explain how her tattoo is fake because, I mean, she is a woman after all, whatever that's supposed to imply, and it's also no coincidence that Chris is the only character with a full set of animation. A very full set, if you know what I mean. Straight up, when you look around her room and find a photo of her with a baby, you get this horror movie stinger.
クリスの子供？
それは他人の子供よ。
The happy music soon comes back though after she explains that it wasn't her. Don't worry boys, she's still good. But yeah, all joking aside, it is a bit odd how all the women's in this game seem to be really cool with Jonathan fumbling their yabos and inquiring about their bust sizes. Now, don't worry, I'm not gonna go on a rant about why Kojima is sexist or misogynist or whatever, as shit's clearly meant to be funny and is not intended to be mean-spirited or harmful, and I will also admit to having had at least a few cheeky giggles, and I get why it's there, okay? Jeez, man. It's just, well, quite fucking blatantly a product of its time, its country, and most certainly its fucking creator, and so it might not always jive with modern sensibilities, to put it mildly. Even I, Mr. Hentai, felt a tad uncomfortable when Jonathan pulled out his space pepes to start hating on biovestites, or when the game revealed there to be a cloning facility used only to reproduce deceased models and actresses in their prime, just for them to be pawned off at secret sex parties. You know, it's a bit fucking weird, Kojima. It really is. Though, unlike the giant stonking boobos, the frat boy vibes luckily aren't in your face at all possible times. Big Black Cock News Order. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BBC News. Today, we have a special on video game creator Hideo Kojima and why he has such a massive goddamn fetish for self-inserting his own waffling bullshit into his stories. Characters who have no business saying what they're saying suddenly breaking character to act as a literal mouthpiece for Mr. Kojima. The dialogue stops being written like a conversation between two people and instead turns into a rapid fire of space memes and factoids aimed at the player in a very clumsily written manner. More on this story at 8. For our next story, we turn to our correspondent, Strange Name. Hello, Strange Name, what can you tell us? Yes, hello, Heels. It would indeed seem that Hitler has been reincarnated. Not as a man, or even as a physical being, but instead as a type of digital manifestation, taking form of some really badly made first-person shooter segments. These will expect the reaction time of a fucking sharpshooter out of a game that plays like molasses. It is a crime on par with genocide, as is stated by a viewer who sent this. Bro, I was totes frustrated. It's not really surprising that Hitler would team up with one of his former allies. Hideo Kojima. Of course. Outside of possibly being a misogynistic Nazi and harbinger of the alt-right, what with his penchant for conspiracy and all, he is perhaps also maybe the undisputed king of camp. Proper camp as well. Questionable though his skills as a writer may be, he handles his balance of hardcore ridic laced with cereal in a manner that easily puts him alongside the likes of David Kubrick and Quentin Lynch. His stories can have gripping and suddenly well-written, emotionally driven scenes with good acting and well-characterized characters going to bad over well-explained and exposed personal plights, but then also a talking cat. And Policenauts is no exception. Jonathan, for one, can go from greeting a friendly receptionist with sugar tits to having a massive fallout with one of his former police buddies, now turned oligarchical mafia big dick, with ties to the game's main murder case. And where this whiplash of moods can be off-putting to some, certainly, I'd say that it's mainly because of his awkwardly written exposition dumps, that he can sink his plot hooks firmly into your buttocks, thus assuring that you'll be 100% on his intended page. Granted that you weren't put off by it initially, at least. I, in any case, was down. Jonathan and Ed are a pretty great duo, totally not ripped straight out of Lethal Weapon, you guys, who managed to have the proper amount of personality and backstory, either because or despite the character breaks and plot dumps. I mean, you really get to see every nook and cranny of the space colony beyond, and its women, as you bump into all manner of boobs and eccentric motherfuckers, all of whom have something to say about the duo, what they can then bounce off of, just as Jonathan bounces off of them titties. I feel like I should probably highlight some examples to really bring this point home, but the game is best played knowing as little about it as possible, as even the smallest of character details, as shown through the millions and billions of examinable objects that you can ask them about, feed into all manner of plot twists and turns. Like, even the fucking horror stinger baby picture of sexism has proper plot relevance, and so I shall leave it at that. A big part of what makes the actual plot itself so goddamn captivating is the fact that the main villain is the system. The entirety of Beyond is ruled by one big pharma company, who also have a finger stirring in many a side business, and the ones in charge of said company just so happen to be all of Jonathan and Ed's old Policenauts buddies. As I said, this shit is highlighted well, boring though it may seem to some, as yeah, by the time even examining a fucking photo can give way to an entire host of examinables, being that every single pixel is its own banter-driven exposition dispenser, shit can seem a tad overbearing or even just outright badly written due to how tone-deaf the game can be at times. Let us in. We want to discuss the death of your father. Oh, I hate you guys though. You gave me PTSD because my hot mom, who is not as hot as me, still loved you and never loved my now dead father. Oh, I am sorry to hear that. However, can you tell me about this plant? My mother loved these plants. She always used to... Yeah. I'ma just plop down on the couch and put on some... Big black cock. Not to mention the part where Ed is all like, hey, look at my hot daughter. She may or may not be underage, but she wears her space gymnastics clothing indoors. Also, cue the sad music. This is my adopted autistic son who does not speak. He is traumatized because I killed his dad. It's fucking weird, and also, yeah, the fact that this paragraph is a structural mess of sentences seeping into each other is totally a meta-allegory for the game's tendency to write bad. Totally. Anyway, the story's good, because literally no one is to be trusted, and everything needs to be kept hush-hush, as all informants are anonymous, all plot twists are personal, and it always feels as if the boys are hot on the trail of unraveling this gruelingly paced mystery, only to find themselves dug deeper into the proverbial shit, all the while those in control monitor their every step. It's fucking intense, dude, and great, and I love it, and it makes all of the horribly written elements come together in the most bizarre possible way. It would be like as if fucking Deadly Premonition had plot twists that somehow put it on Silent Hill 2 level story-wise. That's what Policenauts manages. Its biggest flaws are also its biggest assets. And where this does make the game almost impossibly niche, I would totally recommend it to those who like Metal Gear but hate how sequel baggy and bloated it's become. Or alternatively, if you feel that games like 999 and Hotel Dusk or Danganronpa could do with some more incestuous and rapey vibes. I'm sure those people exist somewhere. Hopefully not.